In a time of mounting galactic instability, the most powerful species in the known universe gather aboard the Citadel of Unity, a vast orbital structure considered neutral territory, to attempt a last-ditch diplomatic summit. The Galactic Concord, a coalition meant to preserve peace between species, has called the emergency meeting in response to escalating aggression between two major factions: the Dravari Dominion, a militaristic empire known for expanding through conquest, and the Zyrex Consortium, a coldly efficient, profit-obsessed technocracy that manipulates trade routes and resources. For weeks, top diplomats, AI negotiators, and logic-based arbitration algorithms have been deployed. Nothing has worked. Every session ends in shouting threats and walkouts. The Dravari delegation insists on expanding into underutilized territory, while the Zyrex representatives refuse to loosen their economic stranglehold on outer trade lanes. Other factions, such as the peaceful Brilathi and the secretive Tassari, are caught in the middle, terrified that any misstep could ignite a war that would engulf the entire galactic quadrant. Tensions rise by the hour. Surveillance picks up. Naval fleet movements near demilitarized zones. An accident or a single impulsive command could spark an interstellar catastrophe. Amid this chaos, the Concord's central AI advisor, Sovereign, proposes an unorthodox solution. Drawing from humanity's record of rapidly resolving civil conflicts, prison riots, and even post-disaster chaos using unconventional specialists, the AI recommends summoning a human behavioral specialist with a background in extreme conflict mediation. The delegates balk at first. Some outright mock the idea. Why bring a primitive species civilian to handle interstellar negotiations? But the AI insists. The specialist has a documented history of achieving behavioral compliance in environments with volatile emotional outbursts, irrational decision-making, and constant power struggles. The comparison, though unspoken, is clear. The AI is equating the Galactic Leaders' behavior to that of human children. Within a solar cycle, a transport vessel arrives from Earth. But instead of a military commander, seasoned psychologist, or AI strategist, the ramp lowers to reveal Ms. Lila Hernandez. She's in her early 60s, wears a cardigan with little stars on it, carries a clipboard, and has that unmistakable energy of someone who's wrangled thousands of screaming 5-year-olds without breaking a sweat. The room falls silent. Dravari. Warlords grunt in confusion. Zyrex analysts scan her for hidden tech. There is none. The Tassari representative narrows her eyes in suspicion. The only explanation comes from Sovereign. Ms. Hernandez is a kindergarten teacher from Earth. Retired, 42 years of service. 0 unresolved conflicts. Documented pacification of over 12,000 behavioral incidents. No fatalities. The ambassadors are stunned. Some erupt in laughter. The Dravari call it a human insult. But the AI remains firm. Ms. Hernandez is calmly seated at the negotiation table with a smile, as if preparing for circle time. "Let's start with introductions," she says cheerfully, flipping open her clipboard. "And just so we're clear, no interrupting, no name-calling, and everyone gets a turn. Understood?" No one moves, and thus begins the strangest diplomatic summit in galactic history, one that will be remembered not for power plays or treaties forged through fear, but for how a single human kindergarten teacher quietly seized control of the galaxy's most unstable negotiation by treating alien superpowers like children who badly needed a nap. Ms. Lila Hernandez walks into the grand negotiation chamber on the Citadel of Unity with the quiet authority of someone who has faced down tantrums, finger paint disasters, and full-on crayon warfare, and won every time. The chamber, designed for grandeur and intimidation, is lined with high-backed obsidian chairs and filled with delegates from across the galaxy, each adorned in ceremonial armor, robes, or neural link augmentations. Lila takes one look around and frowns, not in fear, but in disappointment. "This won't do," she says. Within an hour, her staff has rearranged the entire room. The seats are now in a circle. A talking stick is introduced. Whoever holds it gets to speak, and no one may interrupt. Every delegate receives a color-coded name tag and a chart of basic behavioral expectations taped in front of them, complete with little stars and checkboxes. The Dravari delegate, Warlord Karthok, scoffs when handed a soft cushion with his species crest sewn on it. "You mock us?" he growls. Lila doesn't flinch. "Do you sit on your tail in that posture all day? No wonder you're so aggressive. Try this. It supports your spine better." She's not trying to belittle anyone. She's doing what she always did in her classroom. Observe, adapt, and assert structure. She quickly diagnoses the root problems: power struggles, posturing, no emotional regulation, and a complete inability to listen. So she applies her proven methods, clear rules, enforced consistently. Rule 1, one speaker at a time. Rule 2, no threats, insults, or intimidation noises. Rule 3, if you break a rule, you go to the reflection pod, a soundproof floating orb modeled after Earth's timeout corner. When the Zyrex envoy tries to override her instructions with a rapid barrage of logic and market projections, she gently taps a laminated sign reading, "Use your feelings, not just your numbers." He is stunned. No one in centuries has dared dismiss a Zyrex argument like that. But it's Warlord Karthok who truly tests her. During a session discussing disputed mining territories, Karthok pounds the floor with his energy axe and bellows that the Dravari will not negotiate with cowards. The room braces for an explosion. Lila calmly stands, walks over, and looks him dead in the eye. "Warlord Karthok," she says, in the same voice she once used on a 6-year-old who threw a desk. Across the room, "You are not making safe choices." Gasps ripple across the chamber. "I want you to sit in the reflection pod until you're ready to use kind words and indoor volume." Karthok blinks. For a moment, it seems he might erupt. But there is something about her tone, firm, non-negotiable, and completely unimpressed, that paralyzes him. Wordlessly, the 9-foot warrior marches into the floating orb. The doors close with a soft whoosh. The delegates stare in silence. From that moment on, behavior shifts. Delegates begin raising their hands. They use "I feel" statements. Arguments become moderated not by fear of retribution, but by the silent dread of disappointing the tiny Earth woman with the laminated rules chart and inexhaustible patience. Behind closed doors, some whisper that she's using psychological manipulation. Others think it's a new form of human psionics, but the truth is simpler and far more terrifying. Lila isn't here to negotiate. She's here to manage behavior, and it's working. With basic order restored in the Galactic Concord Chamber thanks to Ms. Lila Hernandez's unwavering structure and firm but kind approach, the real work begins. Getting ancient enemies and paranoid superpowers to actually cooperate. But Lila doesn't approach this through traditional political channels. She leans into what she knows best, guiding young volatile minds through emotional intelligence, empathy, and creative expression. She opens the next negotiation session with a surprising activity. Each delegate is given a large sheet of paper and a set of crayons. The instructions are simple. Draw your ideal resolution to the current conflict. Groans echo around the room. Some delegates, especially the hyper-logical Zyrex, balk at what they call primitive art therapy. But Lila doesn't budge. "You don't have to like it," she says gently. "You just have to do your best." Grumbling, they comply. What happens next shocks the entire chamber. The Zyrex draw endless resource flows with mathematical harmony, clearly displaying their obsession with efficiency and control. The Dravari delegate, Karthok, freshly released from the reflection pod, sketches a vast territory map, but this time with clear borders and cooperative trade routes. Even the normally opaque Tisari submit a shimmering fractal representing coexistence based on energy resonance. Through the simple exercise, Lila achieves what centuries of diplomacy never could: honest expression. Stripped of political posturing and filtered language, the delegates reveal not just their goals but their needs and fears. Lila takes the opportunity to guide a conversation not about demands, but about feelings, a word that sends many delegates squirming. "I want everyone to describe their feelings about this conflict," she says, without using the word war. It's the ultimate challenge. The Dravari, Conditioned for dominance struggle, the Zyrex flounder in emotional vocabulary. But Lila patiently walks them through it, offering prompts. Slowly, the hardened negotiators begin opening up. "I feel threatened," one Vuldari whispers. "I feel unheard," says a Zyrex economic commander. "I feel like my people are disappearing," admits the Brelathi ambassador, tears in her eyes. It's a breakthrough. Lila doesn't celebrate it outwardly, just nods, validates each one, and redirects the conversation. Then comes her most controversial move. She declares an hour of enforced nap-time diplomacy. Every delegate is required to retreat to their quarters, dim the lights, and rest. No meetings, no communiques, no plotting. "Fatigue is the enemy of reason," she explains. "You're cranky. Rest will help." Though initially resisted, the nap period has an unexpectedly profound effect. When the delegates return, tempers are lower. Cognitive clarity improves. Several admit to having dreams that help them see different perspectives. The Tassari delegate, who'd been quiet throughout, shares a dream vision that inspires the framework for a mutual defense pact between formerly opposing factions. Ms. Hernandez capitalizes on the moment. She guides the delegates into a group circle, once again restructured seating, where they share the crayon drawings and begin constructing a joint resolution based on overlapping interests, clarified emotional needs, and new boundaries, drawn with literal colored lines. By the end of the session, they've made more diplomatic progress than in the last 3 decades combined. The galactic delegates aren't entirely sure how it's working, but they now regard nap time, coloring, exercises, and open emotional dialogue as essential tools in preventing galactic collapse. And they all quietly agree on one thing: do not upset the human teacher. With tempers cooled, egos deflated, and interstellar egos crayon softened, the final session of the Galactic Concord Summit begins. For the first time in recorded galactic diplomacy, every delegate enters the chamber on time. Some even greet each other, awkwardly but sincerely. The air no longer vibrates with tension and posturing, but with cautious optimism. Ms. Lila Hernandez, cardigan neatly pressed and clipboard in hand, begins the session with a review. Each delegate must recite one positive observation about another species' contribution during the talks. At first there's hesitation, complimenting a rival, borders on heresy for some cultures, but no one wants to disappoint her. One by one, warriors, technocrats, mystics, and diplomats share moments of respect. Karthok, the Dravri warlord who once threatened to level an entire system over a trade dispute, begrudgingly thanks the Zyrex for their unparalleled logistical clarity. The Zyrex representative in return acknowledges the Dravari's admirable protective instincts if poorly applied. Lila smiles. "See? That wasn't so hard." The final treaty begins taking shape, far more robust than anyone expected. It includes a joint interspecies mediation council, modeled loosely after a human PTA, mutual resource sharing with defined safe zones, mandatory cooldown periods before engaging in military or economic retaliation, and, at Ms. Hernandez's firm insistence, an annual summit involving guided emotional workshops and nap sessions. As the treaty nears completion, disaster nearly strikes. A rogue faction, benefiting from war and chaos, launches a last-ditch assassination attempt on Ms. Hernandez, viewing her as a threat to their profit margins and political leverage. The assassin, disguised as a neutral observer, makes a move during the final signing ceremony. But Lila doesn't panic. As the attacker lunges, she turns, raises a single hand, and bellows, "You sit down right this second." The same voice she once used on a preschooler mid-tantrum with scissors. The assassin freezes mid-stride. Every delegate flinches as if they've been scolded. Security apprehends the attacker instantly. Lila calmly straightens her clipboard and resumes the ceremony as if nothing happened. In that moment, it becomes clear. This wasn't just peace through diplomacy. It was peace through behavioral dominance, earned not through fear, but respect. The galaxy didn't just negotiate with Ms. Hernandez. They were disciplined by her. The treaty is signed. The summit ends. No one cheers or celebrates. Instead, the delegates rise one by one to offer a brief, respectful nod to Ms. Hernandez. Some whisper thanks. A few even ask for signed copies of the Golden Rules poster she hung in the chamber. When asked to remain as Galactic Concord's permanent High Mediator, she politely declines. I have a garden back home and a grandson who thinks he's a velociraptor. That's more than enough diplomacy for me. She boards the transport back to Earth, leaving behind a galaxy forever changed. In the weeks following her departure, factions update their strategic protocols. Entire alien species begin offering teacher exchange programs with Earth, hoping to understand the terrifying calm of kindergarten educators. Military academies begin studying her sessions. One Zyrex think tank concludes, the optimal model of control is no longer domination. It is structured empathy, consistently enforced. And across the stars, leaders who once ruled by fear now tremble at a shared truth. The most powerful negotiator in the galaxy wore a cardigan and carried stickers.